Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Changes, live and recorded. For those of you that might be new here, we typically do is go over crypto news and news in general in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's in the house, then we'll get into this. Let's see, Leo Lustig, good to see you, buddy. My man Luke, what's up, dude? Steven Cicero, Black Hat Team, 10 minutes to midnight. We got Offshore Miner, Mr. Olo, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Steven Mint, good morning. Tonto Bongranto, what's up, dude? Love that name. Kyle Rosa, 20011, and Deborah, good morning. Nick K, Alexander, everybody else I may have missed, I apologize. Let's do it. Bitcoin just turned gray right in front of my face. $61,084. I don't know what's happening, Bitcoin. Come on, we got to pick it up. It's Friday. It's a good day. Today's gonna be a good day. Smile, people. Ethereum 2412 over here. We got Solana $141. The XRP at 53 cents. Sui up 5% today to $1.91. We have LTC at $65. Caspa's at 13.2. Man, Caspa's been taking a real shit. Bruh. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm still buying the dip. Absolutely a great buying opportunity. ETC is at $18.32, and that's my opinion, of course. Don't take advice from people on YouTube. Okay, that's your first mistake. Celestia over here, we have 5.28% up on, sorry, what am I saying? 8.45% up on the day to $5.28. Man, I'm all over the place, sorry. Dogecoin over here, almost 11 cents. We're at 10.8 to be exact, up 1.3%. ADA's at 34 cents. Again, another great buy in my opinion. Near Protocol is at $4.70, up 2% on the day. WIF is actually up 5.38% to $2.47. If anybody cares about that meme coin, let's see. BNB is at 567 bucks, actually down a little bit today. We have Toncoin up 2%, 2.5% or so, $5.20. Not too bad, nothing really jumping out at me. Let's jump over to Crypto Bubbles over here. Biggest earner of the day seems to be Hex, but this thing was the biggest loser of the day the other day, so kind of evened itself out, I guess. We're at a penny and a half, just about, a little under a penny and a half. Ranked 56th by market cap, $1.37 billion. It's crazy. 15.5% up on the day. Crazy. Let's see. Engine over here, 5.3% up to $3.78. We have Celestia again, 8.4% today, $5.28. Phantom is down actually 5.2% today to 64 cents. Seems to be the biggest loser over here on Crypto Bubbles, and this is in the top 100 coins, right? You can obviously change this if you wanted to. If you guys don't know anything about the site, you can go from 100 to 200, 200 to 300 basically, and it changes all the time, right? So if you see a coin pumping that's in your bag, that's not on my list, that's why. It's because the top 100 coins only. But yeah, nothing else really jumping out at me over here. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Flashbang Fear and Greed Index, I have to refresh this. I haven't done it yet. What are we at today? We're at a 32. Bruh. That's good though. That's good. We want it to come down as the price drops. If the price is dropping, you want this needle to move downwards, not upwards, because then it just gets worse, right? So I think we're getting to that point where people are going to start hopefully turning this needle around. It is the time to buy, at least in my opinion. You know, be greedy when people are fearful, be fearful when people are greedy. All right, jumping over to Coin Gecko over here. Let's see, top 10 coins. Look at this one real quick. The sad hamster is still in the trending coins, 18.9% up on the day. I don't know why that's a meme coin, but it's kind of funny. That's so random. Chlor AI is doing great too. There's actually going to be a bunch of videos coming out. We're all actually making videos on the Chlor AI fleet, and Mr. Mining King actually dropped a video this morning. I haven't had a chance to record mine, but me and the Geek of All Trades are going to get together and do a little collab on that one. So stay tuned for that. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB. We have Solana, USDC, XRP, Lido Staked Ether, Dogecoin, and Tron in 10th place over here. This is by coin market cap, obviously on CoinGecko. We have in 11th place Toncoin at a $13.1 billion market cap, and Cardano is in 12th place at a 12.3. Again, I like to go down to 12th place, just where Cardano is, because I think it deserves top 10. It definitely does. All right, I'm not going to spend too much time on this today because I want to get into a lot of video stuff. We have Elon Musk drop the cyber taxi, which is freaking insane. So let's jump into the mining segment of things, and we're gonna get into a bunch of stuff over there. All right, if you guys haven't seen this site in a while, if you're just joining, maybe you haven't been here in the past couple of days, they added this to ASIC miner value, this like bar that you can click on the specific coins and it'll just bring up those specific miners, which is pretty amazing. I think it's awesome. It's really, really neat to be able to come here and just, you know, if you have a favorite coin, you can check all the machines on it. But anyways, the AL1 Pro over here, 16.6 terahash unit, mining lithium, making $43.81 a day. Bruh. That's going down. Going down with everything else. How's the lithium looking? Let's just look real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but 4.91% up today. Nice. $1.40. Look at that. That was $1.30 yesterday. Wow, it jumped 10 cents. Look at that. A duke into that. Nice. All right, at least it's not going completely to shit. That's nice to see a lithium. Lithium's been holding actually pretty decent, I guess. Really hasn't been too bad. It's been between like $1.70 and $1.40 or so for a while, so whatever. The AL1 15.6 terahash unit over here, $41.16 a day. We got the AL3 15 terahash unit making $39.28. Let's see, the L9 17 gigahash is making $18.50 and the 16 gigahash is making $17.41. The Gold Shell E AL1M over here, 4.4 terahash unit, 1800 watts, making $9.67 a day. They probably want too much money for this thing, but that's I guess that's not, doesn't seem too bad. It's probably really inefficient though. I don't know. If anybody has one, let me know. No, it does not, son of a rabbit. It does not. It says my kids' names. Thanks for noticing though. The L7 over here, you guys know I got this thing down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them. If you guys are interested in hosting, links in the description. Pay 10 cents per kilowatt hour over there, or I pay. I think it's, you know what, I think they're dropping the rates. They might have dropped the rates already. I don't know. I just pay the bill. Anyways, it's my 9050 over here. This thing, I just can't run it at my house. It's too much electricity. I pay 30 cents per kilowatt hour, so I would be making like not even a third of this, or a third of this. It would be negative. It would 100% be negative, but I'm making $6.19 down in Terra, so that's pretty awesome. Let's see, just kind of scrolling down quick. AL Blocks 2 Plus, I got this thing, 1 terahash unit, 480 watts, $2 a day. That's at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. You guys know I got this thing on solar, so I'm making about $2 a day, which isn't bad. It is not bad. Maybe a little more, about 250. The AL0 400 gigahash is at 100 watts, $1 a day. The RX0 260 gigahash is 100 watts, 67 cents a day. Man, has it been that bad? Bruh. Has it been that bad? Let's see. Flashbang, sorry. RXD, I want to see how many coins you guys are getting per day now. Ooh, it's under 900. 898.5. Crazy. It was 1100 like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago maybe. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Crazy. All right, moving on to the GPUs. Let's see what we got. We got to watch a lot of shit today, so let's get into it. Looks like all right, overall consensus just Aleo across the board. Block X on some cards, 170HX, the 3070s Conflux and Pyron, but other than that, you get the 6800 XT, I guess, on Clore, and Carlson and Pyron. Carlson, what's going on with that? 7900 XTX as Xano is the biggest earner there. Nice. So like the AMD cards usually on Clore, some sort of Kapow algorithm, which is kind of crazy, but yeah, that's the overall consensus there. All right, guys, let's get into it. We're gonna watch some news stuff, or some I guess breaking it was like a break-in event with this whole Elon Musk making the cyber taxi and stuff, and like, man, it's nuts. I watched these clips prior, so it's kind of crazy. I didn't like dive deep into it, but let's see what he's got to say over here. So they had a huge convention, and he shows up, or he drives to the convention from this place in one of the cyber taxis. But check this thing out. I hope I don't get hit for this music. I probably will. Here, I'm probably gonna buy one and just let it work for me. It's like a little slave. Why not?
Welcome to the Wii Robot Party. So we have quite a show for you tonight. I think you're gonna like it. As you can see, I just arrived in the Robotaxi, the Cybercab, and there's 20 more where that came from. So they've been traveling. They're all there's no people in them, as you can see. The car's just going by with no people.
It's so crazy.
And we have 50 fully autonomous cars here tonight. So you'll see Model Ys and the Cyber Cab, all driverless. You'll be able to take a ride in the Cyber Cab. There's no steering wheel or pedals.
It's crazy, right?
So I hope this goes well.
He's such a nerd.
We'll find out.
He's such a nerd. All right, I'm gonna keep.
So we want
continue this.
With autonomy, you get your time back. This is a very big deal. So it's not just a save, like it'll save lives, like a lot of lives, and prevent injuries. I think we'll see autonomous cars become 10 times safer than a human. I mean, if you think of times past where there used to be an elevator operator in every elevator, but once in a while they get tired and accidentally shear somebody in half. So now we have automated elevators. You just get in an elevator and you press a button, and you don't even think about it, and it just takes you to the floor. And if you did see an elevator operator with a big relay switch, you'd be like, "That's weird." Now that's how cars will be. And it's not just the lives saved in injuries, but if you think about the cumulative time that people spend in a car, and the time that they will get back, that they can now spend, well, I guess, on their phones, or watching a movie, or doing work, or whatever you want to do. You can think of the car in an autonomous world as being like just a little lounge. You're just sitting in a comfortable little lounge, and you can do whatever you want while you're in this comfortable little lounge. And when you get out, you will be at your destination. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome. So.
This is going to be interesting for drunk folks. I don't even know. I'm just going to leave it alone.
In fact, I think the cost of autonomous transport will be so low that you can think of it like individualized mass transit.
It's literally just a couch.
The average cost of a bus per mile for a city, not the ticket price because that is subsidized, but the average price is about $1 a mile. Whereas the cost of Cybercab, we think probably over time, from the operating cost is probably going to be around 20 cents a mile. And price, including taxes and everything else, probably ends up being 30 or 40 cents a mile. So yes, and you will be able to buy one.
Dude, that's cool.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know how I'd feel about that though. If you think about it, like all they got to do is hit a switch and the thing dies. You know what I mean? They could just kill switch your car. Like I don't know.
And we expect the cost to be below $30,000.
Which is pretty awesome. Below 30,000.
And I think there'll be an interesting, business model where, like, let's say somebody is an, Uber or Lyft driver today, where they can actually sort of manage a fleet of cars, and like sort of manage, 10, 20 cars.
See, that's cool. That's really cool. You don't have to do shit. You're an Uber driver. You just buy these cars and you get to friggin' send them out. Go do your work.
Just sort of, take care of them like a shepherd tends their flock. You have your flock of cars. And you're the shepherd, and you take care of your flock of cars. I think that'll be pretty cool. I think it's going to be a glorious future. It's going to be really something special. So, yes, good, all excellent questions. We do expect actually to start fully autonomous, unsupervised FSD in Texas and California next year.
Crazy.
And that's with the Model 3 and Model Y. And then we expect to be in production with the Cybercab, which is really highly optimized for autonomous transport in probably, well, I tend to be a little optimistic with timeframes, but in 2026. So, yeah, before 2027, let me put it that way. And we'll make this vehicle in very high volume, but well before that, you will experience a robotic taxi via the Model 3 and Model Y program, and Model S and X too. But your 3 and Y will achieve unsupervised full self-driving.
Oh, sorry, there's another clip. I don't know why I had to find where another video stitched itself in. So this is it right here.
With permission in wherever regulators essentially approve it in the U.S. and then to follow in outside the U.S. So, and Cybertruck too, yes, of course. Sorry, I don't want to forget. Yes. All our cars, basically, all cars that we make. So, let's not get nuanced here. All right, next slide. So, one of the reasons why the computer can be so much better than a person is that we have millions of cars that are training on driving. So it's like living millions of lives simultaneously and seeing very unusual situations that a person in their entire lifetime would not see. But hopefully.
Oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. So
people are so dumb.
With that amount of training
that
data,
was definitely in Florida, that guy just walking across the highway.
it's obviously going to be much better than what a human could do, because you can't live a million lives. And it's also, it can see in all directions simultaneously, and it doesn't get tired or text or any of those things. So it will naturally be, like I said, 10, 20, 30 times safer than a human, just for all those reasons. And I want to emphasize that the solution that we have is AI and vision. So there's no expensive equipment needed. So the Model 3 and Model Y and S and X that we make today will be capable of full autonomy unsupervised.
I'm trying to see in the chat. I hope those taxis don't have catalytic converters, to Leo Lustig. Yeah, no, I don't think they have any emissions. I know for a fact they don't. All right, let's see. Why Bitcoin creator Satoshi. Oh wait, no, hold on. I wanted to watch something else real quick. This one right here. I found he posted this on X, or formerly known as Twitter. This is the new robot, the household robot that they're going to be selling. It's going to be like 30K. Look at this.
A robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with Optimus. And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit.
Look how crazy this is.
Sort of down. And then we've progressed dramatically year after year. So if you extrapolate this, you're really going to have something spectacular, something that anyone could own. So you could have your own personal R2-D2 C-3PO. But fundamentally, at scale, the Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot.
Sped it up a
for,
bit.
I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll be able to do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids. It can walk your dog, mow your lawn.
Watch my kids. Like, hey, there you go. Watch my kids, please. This robot, you're gonna trust it to watch your kids? Hell no.
Get the groceries.
What?
Just be your friend. Serve drinks.
Serve drinks.
Whatever you can think of.
Get out of
here.
here.
And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind.
We brought slavery back, people, with these robots. Yeah. that's what's happening right now.
Because
this thing's
I
gonna
think
be
everyone
like household
of the
slave.
8 billion people of Earth, I think everyone's going to want their Optimus buddy.
That's crazy.
And there's going to be maybe two, and then they'll be producing products and services. I predict, actually, provided we address risks of digital superintelligence, 80% probability of good outcome. Look on the bright side.
Crypto KJ, you say you heard one talking? What? Like Alexa talking? Like that?
The cup is 80% full. The cost of products and services will decline dramatically, and basically anyone will be able to have any products and services they want. One of the things we wanted to show tonight was that Optimus is not a canned video. It's not walled off. The Optimus robots will walk among you.
That's kind of terrifying.
Please be nice to the Optimus robots. So you'll be able to walk right up to them, and they'll serve drinks at the bar.
That'd be so weird. They're serving drinks at the bar. I don't know how I feel about that. Son of Ravage said cars is not horse slavery. Are you saying it is, or are you asking a question or making a statement? Son of Ravage, what are you saying? Appreciate you. All right, why Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto's identity matters to director Cullen Hoback. This is the guy that made that freaking stupid HBO documentary that apparently really sucked. I didn't watch it, so I don't know. Let's see. I guess they interview him here.
Today, Bitcoin slumps after new economic data shows signs that inflation might be sticking around and the U.S. job market could be weakening. And we hear from the director of the documentary that claims to have tracked down Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto.
No, he spread a bunch of FUD. He didn't track down anybody.
Welcome to CBC's Crypto World. I'm Jordan Smith. Cryptocurrencies are headed lower today after new economic data out this morning revealed hotter than expected inflation in September, plus jobless claims hitting their highest level since August of last year. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin dropped to the $60,000 level, Ether slumped to just about $2,400, and Solana dropped to $238. All right, let's jump.
All right, Crypto KJ, I'll play that right after this. Sorry.
Right to our main story. On Tuesday, HBO released Money Electric, the Bitcoin Mystery. And the hour and 40-minute documentary, filmmaker Cullen Hoback travels around the world to track down the identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, the anonymous creator of Bitcoin. At the end of his hunt, Hoback confronts two titans in the Bitcoin community he thinks could be Satoshi. And in the end, he comes away believing that Peter Todd, a Canadian developer who'd been active in the Bitcoin space since the early 2010s, very well could be the long-silent author of the Bitcoin white paper. Now, since the documentary was released, many have come out saying that Peter Todd is not Satoshi, while Hoback insists on what he found. I spoke with Cullen Hoback about this film and what he hoped to accomplish by tracking Satoshi down. Cullen Hoback, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, happy to talk to you.
Let me just start by sort of setting the scene for people who haven't seen the film. You spent multiple years immersed in the Bitcoin community, sort of watching the evolution of the cryptocurrency and the network as it gained adoption through Central America and through the collapse in 2022. And I think along the way, we sort of see this shift toward looking for the creator of the Bitcoin white paper, Satoshi Nakamoto. He sort of laid out the idea for Bitcoin in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. Can you talk to me about, one, how you started this journey that you were on, and what made you make that turn toward focusing on the identity of Satoshi?
You wanted money?
Right. So back when we
views.
started the film, I mean, it had been brought up to me, this idea of, okay, can we, you just finished this Q series, maybe you should look for this other anonymous character, Satoshi Nakamoto. And this is a mystery that has hovered over journalists' heads for years. And if I was going to do the story, I needed something that breathed fresh life into it. And that was about more than just the Satoshi mystery.
Did
And
you just admit that he needed to fluff it up a bit to bring new life into it?
Business investigation is El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin. And I was very curious who was behind that effort. So I reached out and discovered that, in fact, the company that was kind of driving this effort, the head of that company was also the first person that the creator of Bitcoin had reached out to. That was a suspicious link, and I figured, all right, well, maybe there's something more here. If I can get an interview with the individual who Satoshi reached out to, a cryptographer named Adam Back, that could breathe some new life into the story. And there'd be more to talk about than just this mystery. It could potentially be a film about the future of money and this emerging battle between the state and the Bitcoiners.
I'm curious, not to jump to the end of the documentary, because as you point out, there's so much that you cover in that hour and 40 minutes, but you confront two people that you feel are most likely to be Satoshi. One of them is Adam Back, whom you mentioned, and the other is Canadian developer Peter Todd. It seems like you're more convinced that it's Peter. He's denied it on the tape, and he also continues to deny that he's Satoshi online after the release of this film. The crypto industry,
what's he gonna do?
The crypto industry seems to believe that he's not Satoshi, but you still feel convinced that he is.
Well, I think we make a very strong case in the film. I think there's a lot more evidence to support this theory. And ultimately, look, he's obviously, more than 15 years have gone by. If you are in fact Satoshi, it's not like suddenly you'll just come out and say, you got me, right? But I think it really comes down to how the audience interprets his reaction to being confronted with the evidence. And so that's why I think that there's...
Is it because he wrote on Bitcoin Talk like 13 hours after Satoshi did or something way back in 2009 or whatever it was? Was that the reasoning that he had? Like, because you answered him?
Number of people who wanted to dismiss the conclusion outright because it didn't necessarily align with what they wanted to believe or other preconceived notions. And I would just say, okay, well, it would probably be worth watching the arc of this story and taking some of this evidence into consideration and arriving at your own conclusions.
It goes to a question that I deal with a lot when covering this space. And there's this idea around trolling in crypto. We encounter it a lot. You see it a lot in your film itself. You talk about how some of the characters were sort of interacting with one another in ways that could be considered teasing, but it could very well be true. It's hard to tell. And so when you're going through this story, how did you decide what you chose to believe, or how quickly you chose to believe something that someone said? Because oftentimes it does feel like in this industry, it's pretty common to lead people down a fake path.
Well, I think that the sort of trolling and muddying the waters is a big part of the game theory. And it's part of why no one has necessarily, or very few people prior to this, had looked in Peter's direction. And because he's muddied the waters so effectively, being a contrarian and doing some trolling, kind of like you see in the film, it makes it easy to dismiss. But I think that you will see a reaction from him when confronted with the evidence that kind of flies above a lot of that. But also that trolling or that kind of behavior that you're describing, it's one of the reasons I didn't really consider him to be a suspect for almost a year. It wasn't until I reflected on something that another early developer in Bitcoin had told me, that the code didn't look like it was written by a professional developer. And there were some other key clues. If you take Adam Back's story about how Satoshi approached him in the beginning and didn't have knowledge about certain things, like something that other cryptographers had written called like B-money. The fact that he named his thing something called eCash, which was also the same name that David Chaum had used for his invention in the early 90s. These things indicate that it would be someone younger. So taking those pieces into consideration and saying, okay, well, Adam's behavior on camera is pretty suspicious. He seems to be covering up something. But if he's not covering up for himself, who might he lie to protect? And that put me on a different path. And that's part of why I started to look at Peter Todd. Of course, I think there's this key piece of evidence that starts to unlock the greater mystery there. But again, it is just a theory. I just think it's a strong theory at this point.
To your point, it's a theory, and it's one that's spurred a lot of conversation online. But I think it also goes to this question that a lot of people are asking about: why do you feel like it matters who Satoshi might be? I think his identity has become a sort of a lore in and of itself. It's got this idea that Bitcoin community has been put forth as this ideal around free money. Satoshi himself has gifted this technology to the world, and it's maybe in some ways helped keep Bitcoin specifically from falling into the same issues that altcoins have faced. My question is, does his identity matter outside of that lore? And at the same time, he may be the largest holder of Bitcoin, but the next largest are BlackRock, MicroStrategy, and Grayscale, these corporations that are only growing their numbers.
I think that this mystery of Bitcoin's creator was helpful for Bitcoin for some time. At this point, it seems more like a vulnerability to the network, this idea that there could be someone out there who controls a 20th of the total supply. I think folks want to believe that they're not going to reemerge and pull the lever someday. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not only interested in who's behind it, but whether or not they still have access. I think because countries and people's 401ks are now being associated with Bitcoin, that has made the question perhaps more pressing than ever. So I think I
get his concern, but he's a moron for pointing fingers. That's just my opinion.
We've arrived at a moment where understanding the mind of the person behind this is important. And I think that if Satoshi is still alive and they still have access, something that they could do at this point would be to burn the million or so coins. That would be something that would perhaps be good for Satoshi and also for Bitcoin.
So
stop the cap.
Good for Satoshi. Would you guys burn that much money? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Fuck no, I would sell it all.
Maybe this leads into the final question I have. Outside of the controversy around Satoshi, what do you feel should be the takeaway for people who watch this film? Are you hoping that this film does something specifically for the Bitcoin community, or are you aiming for something larger for the public generally?
When I tell a story like this, my goal is just really to help people understand these forces that are working kind of behind the scenes and shaping our reality and our financial future. So that's really my hope. And then also, I think people enjoy a good mystery. So those two things in concert, I mean, I think we made a film that is a pretty good ride on top of also revealing a lot about the future of money.
The guy's face just looks like he's full of shit the whole time talking. Like, I don't even, yeah, nope. I don't know. I can't do it. I'm not going to watch it. But anyways, yeah, he's pointing fingers at somebody that, is that guy that he's pointing fingers at, is he rich? Does anybody know? Does he have a shit ton of money? Because if he's not rich, I'm pretty positive he was Satoshi, he would probably sell some of those coins. But who knows? I don't know. I don't know why people do what they do. Anyways, let's move on. Why Bitcoin will go much higher. So Mr. Anthony Pompliano's podcast over here. If you guys aren't subbed to him, go check him out. He's got 572K subs, and he's got an awesome book he just released as well. Let's see what he's got to say over here. I'm gonna bump this up as well.
All right, Phil, what's the first question you got?
So Bitcoin is the top performing asset right now, and it's returned about 50% this year, and that's more than double the S&P 500. That sounds pretty good as a headline, but I do think that it's worth noting it's been pretty much flat since March. Bitcoin, I think, was at 70K in March, and now it's actually lower than that by a little bit.
Mr. Crypto KJ, I'm sorry. I freaking forgot. I'm sorry, guys. I have to pause that for a second. Let's listen to this real quick. This is the robot talking, I think, right? Is that what you were trying to? Oh, he's interacting with the crowd. What the hell? All right, let's play this real quick, and then I'll go back to that.
How many actuators do I have? Well, I'm sorry. Can I actually have everyone to take one step backwards? Thank you. I do need space to function.
The fuck?
He sounds like actuators. Well, sitting on my arms, I can only count 1, 2, 3.
Wait, what?
I can only see 4 at the moment.
All right, I can't play that anymore because I'm gonna get whacked with that music. But that's insane. That was like really realistic. That's crazy. All right.
How do you reconcile it being the top performing asset, but also it hasn't made any progress for most of the year?
I'll give the critics even a better argument, which is it's actually down over the last 3 years, right? It hit an all-time high, 69,000 back in 2021. Now it's trading in the low 60s. And so I think that Bitcoin really is a volatile asset. That's a key piece to this. It's obviously sensitive when it comes to monetary policy, fiscal policy. And so we saw a tightening. Bitcoin dropped from 69,000 down to, I think, 17,000 as a significant drop in price. Most people in most asset classes would sell the asset, say, I'm done with this thing and move on. That's not what happened with Bitcoiners. So if you look today, Bitcoin has fully recovered back. It hit a new all-time high in the low 70,000s, and it's kind of gone sideways, as you mentioned, since March or so. Now, one of the things that people usually don't remember about Bitcoin is in these 4-year cycles, in the halving year, there are two things that tend to be true. Doesn't mean it's always going to be true in the future, but so far, historically has happened. The halving occurs, there's kind of a run-up into that event occurring. What we saw earlier this year was not only do we get the run-up because of the halving, but we also had the ETF approvals. And so there was a repricing of Bitcoin by about a 50% increase going into those that halving. So ETFs get approved in January, price goes up, halving occurs, and then there's kind of this like disillusionment for the next month or so, where everyone was so excited about the halving, they realized it doesn't really do anything, and so there's kind of a sell-off. Now the sell-off wasn't really that bad, but throughout the summer we have what I call the sideways summer, and usually in halving years, if you go back to 2020, that's exactly what happened. Kind of Bitcoin recovered from the quick drop in March with the halving in May, and we pretty much went sideways all summer long. And so if you go back and you look, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy were buying Bitcoin at around the same price as when the halving actually occurred, call it $8,500 to $10,000, somewhere in that range. And so if we look at what happened in 2020, we then got into the end of Q3, beginning of Q4, and really it wasn't until the end of October, November, December, we then went from, call it, $8,000 to $10,000 up to around $30,000 to end the year. And that continued into Q1 of 2021, where we went from 30,000 all the way up to 64,000 in March. And so we had a 600% price increase from the end of Q3 until March of 2021. Now, there was a big sell-off. We then went sideways for a while, and then there was recovery to hit the new all-time high of 69,000 at the end of 2021. Why is that important? I think that we are following a similar trajectory in terms of trend. I don't know about severity. So we had the halving earlier this year. We went sideways. We're now getting towards the beginning of Q4. And so towards the end of October, beginning of November, I do expect the price to start to increase. It also will coincide with more rate cuts, and also it will coincide with the election. And so there's kind of a couple of different factors that are coming together that I think will push Bitcoin's price higher. Now, how long will that last? Are we going to go from November to March again? Maybe. Is it going to be a 600% increase? That seems unlikely to me. And so maybe it's something like, hey, it is going to be kind of a 6-month, kind of upwards movement in price. But over that 6 months, maybe we double in price, or we have a 50% increase in price, or maybe it's 150%. I don't know what the exact severity is going to be. But I do feel like a lot of Bitcoin's price movement is much more tied to timing of the year, of the halving schedule, et cetera, than it is to, oh my God, it went sideways. We need a net new buyer to come in. It's just we continue to see this pattern over and over again. And there's probably something about the halving takes about 6 months or so to kind of work itself out so that people start to feel that change in incoming supply. And so if you have the same demand, the supply drops by 50%, it works itself out, then bam, here you go. You've got something that seems to be more scarce in terms of that incoming daily supply. And that ultimately leads to the price repricing of the asset, kind of at the end of that year and into the beginning of the next year.
So something you mentioned right away was how volatile of an asset Bitcoin is. And I think your explanation makes a lot of sense. But one thing that is difficult to reconcile is how I think 65% of holders have not moved their Bitcoin in the last 12 months.
This dude's either stoned or he just got out of bed.
So my question is, why then is it such a volatile asset if more than half the people are not even touching or moving their Bitcoin?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. The reason why it's volatile is because 65% of people haven't moved their asset in the last 12 months. So if you think of, just use a company, forget Bitcoin for a second. If you use a public company, there's a famous example of this. There was a cannabis stock called Tilray. And I don't remember all of the exact details, but basically they took this company public. It was one of the first cannabis companies to go public. I think it went public in Canada. And what they did was they floated a very small percent of the equity. So the founders and the executive team said, hey, we believe in the company. We want to go public. We want people to be able to buy the stock, but we're going to hold a bunch of it ourselves. We're not going to float that stock. And so I can't remember if it was 2% or 5%, but it was a very small percent. So call that, 90+% of the stock is being held illiquid because people that hold it aren't going to sell it. And so there's just a little bit people can buy. Well, there was this massive demand. It's one of the first cannabis stocks. So all these people come in and they want to buy it. And so you can think of, let's just say that they had 100 shares, right? For the hypothetical example, but only 5 were available for trading because the 95 were being held. Now everyone's trying to buy one of these 5 shares. And so the share price skyrockets. And so I think that stock went up something like 1,000% in a couple of months. And so in that example, you're saying to yourself, oh my God, this stock went up 1,000%, blah, blah, whatever. It's just market structure. Because if they took the other 95% of the stock and they put it into the market, it wouldn't have gone up 1,000%. It was just that there was a mismatch of demand for the available shares. So if you bring that example to Bitcoin, 65% of Bitcoin is not available. It's being held by long-term holders. They're not willing to sell it in the market. And so even though there's more than 19 million Bitcoin in circulation, there's really only 35% of Bitcoin that is available for trading. And so as you get this increase in demand or decrease in demand, it is exasperated or kind of exaggerated because you have such a small float compared to actually all 19 plus million Bitcoin that are kind of in circulation. And so the reason why that becomes important is as price goes up, you will see that number trend down. It actually hit 70%, I think earlier this year, and it's come down a little bit, or maybe in December of 2023. So 7 out of every 10 Bitcoin in circulation did not move in the trailing 12 months. That's an insane number. Only 3 out of 10 are available for trading.
But at the same time, they say that 5 to 7 million are lost forever from people back in the day that lost seed phrases or whatever. Like, that guy that, searched for his hard drive. I think it was in a different country, but he was searching for a hard drive in a dump for ever. He had excavators and he was just ripping this place apart. So there's a lot of Bitcoin that doesn't move because it can't move. They don't have the keys. They don't have the old wallet it was in, so yeah, I mean, so the numbers are going to be a little different, obviously.
Now, as price has moved up, we've gone from 70 down to 65%. So it's still pretty healthy, but by the end of the bull market, that number will go from 65 probably down closer to 55 or 50%. And so what people are doing is as price rises, you can think of it as it's a daily bid for their Bitcoin. So right now, somebody is saying, I'll buy your Bitcoin for $63,000. 70%, 65% of people say, I'm not selling. But all of a sudden, if somebody says, I'll pay you $80,000, one more person than probably right now will say, you know what, 80,000, I'll sell you the Bitcoin. Then 90,000, 100,000, 110, 120, 130, 150,000. There's some portion of the people who are not willing to sell at 63 that are going to be willing to sell at 100,000 or 150,000. And so that number will start to kind of trail down. What's fascinating to me is still more than 50% of all Bitcoin in circulation has not moved in 2 years. So the 1 year number is impressive because during that time period, what we saw is Bitcoin's price has gone up substantially. But over the 2 year time frame, Bitcoin's price has tripled. So we went from, kind of sub 20,000 to over 60,000 in a 2 year time frame, yet 1 out of every 2 Bitcoin has not moved. Now,
and people still complain about it. A 50% rise in 2 years is really good.
Portion of those are lost. We don't know how much. I don't think it's as high as the number as some people think it is, but some portion for sure is lost. But 1 out of every 2 Bitcoin has not moved in 2 years, even though the price has tripled. Those are long-term holders. Those are people who are saying it's going higher, right? They're expressing their view in the market because they're not willing to sell at these prices. And so that is a huge reason why I think some of the best investors in the world, like the Paul Tudor Joneses, the Stanley Druckenmillers, et cetera, are so excited about Bitcoin, is because they realize these people are nuts. They're going to hold the Bitcoin. They're going to make it a much less liquid supply, and therefore increases in demand, like an ETF, are going to skyrocket the price. Now, what's fascinating to me is the ETFs are also a net new buyer of Bitcoin, and they're holding it. Yes, there is a redemption feature, so they can have to sell Bitcoin from time to time. But what we see so far in the data is they are usually a net buyer, not a net seller. And so as Bitcoin goes into those funds, it usually doesn't come back out. And so if that continues to happen as well, they're just pulling supply out of circulation. They're holding it in their funds, and that should continue to lead to higher and higher prices over time and more volatility.
Interesting, by the way. Good morning, Mr. Geek of all trades. You said, so what I'm hearing is October is canceled. Honestly, at this point, who knows? It's the 11th, so we have 20 more days or so, right? I don't know. We'll see.
So you said something there. You said Wall Street's sort of buying in because they realize how nuts the holders are, how long-term committed these holders are. Do you think that undermines the value of Bitcoin if it's just maybe big buyers on Wall Street want to come in because you have this grassroots investing movement where people will hold Bitcoin forever no matter what?
One of my theories in markets is that money wants to find courage. And this is very counterintuitive. Most people think that money wants to find where is it safest? Where is it going to be kind of cared for best, where I can't lose it? That's not what happens. Usually what happens is that investors are risk takers. They want to find risk. But the best place to take risk is when you take risk in a crowd. And so what they see is that the Bitcoiners are maniacs. They're like, these guys buy this thing, and it doesn't matter if it goes up hundreds of percent, if it drops 90%, they just hold. And so when you have a massive group of people, and remember, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin not moving regardless of where the price goes. As an investor who wants to seek and capture risk because the risk you take is the return you earn, then you want to go find places like this where you are alongside, shoulder to shoulder, other maniacs. And so I think that's where people kind of get it confused. They think that Wall Street's going to run away from this asset. Wall Street likes volatility because volatility means there's potential return. Wall Street likes risk because the more risk they take, the more return they can capture. Wall Street likes the maniacs because every person on Wall Street is a closet maniac. They're just trying to do it inside of an institution with risk management, etc. And so Bitcoin was almost purpose built for resonating on Wall Street. It's just that in the early days, a lot of those financial institutions couldn't adopt the asset. But now they look at this data and they say, you're telling me if this asset drops 80 to 90%, these guys don't sell? They just buy more? Sign me up. How do I buy some of that? And
all right, I'm gonna stop this here. I want to jump into Altcoin Daily's video. I know you guys are like falling asleep in the chat. I apologize. Let's finish that up on your own time. I'm gonna watch that a little later today. It's a good conversation. Anthony Pompliano is definitely a very well-educated guy in the space, but let's get into a little bit more of a spicy video, I guess. See some bullshit that he's shilling today. But Moria, real quick, in the chat said no October equals coiling the spring. Yeah, and you know what? I totally agree with you. Totally agree.
Crypto, I think, is actually one of the few areas of venture capital that offers true asymmetric upside. I think you're going to see a lot of institutions start to leverage this.
In 2025, altcoins will make millionaires. Many of the coins.
If I wanted to get rich in 2025, I'd do this, he says. Who doesn't want to get rich? So why aren't you doing this?
See here, different coins that we'll talk about in a future video, so make sure you subscribe. But 2025 is the year that not Bitcoin, but altcoins explode. How can I say this so confidently? Follow along today, watch this whole video. I want to set you up for the best 2025. And keep in mind, this is all just my opinion. This is not financial advice. If any of us truly could predict the future, we'd all be rich. But 2025 is the year that crypto OGs have been waiting for. It's always been 2025. Think about this. Bitcoin will be above all-time highs. Ethereum will be higher and stronger. With that, OGs like us will see our massive portfolio size and naturally want to move some of our profits into smaller caps for maximum
didn't even drink
gains.
the coffee.
Now, at the same time, new people will be aping into crypto. They will feel like they largely missed out on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and they too will put a large chunk of their money into the smaller caps, causing
bullshit. That guy was playing like Flappy Bird or some shit.
Coins to pump even higher. Smash the like button if you appreciate info like. And I've been in crypto a long time. I've seen this time after time after time. Guys, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on everything going on. That being said, one thing the mainstream media does report on fairly well, in fact, is traditional markets. If traditional markets are strong, crypto and altcoins will be that much stronger. So, will traditional markets be strong in 2025? Listen, the Fed has pivoted. The Fed is cutting now. Yeah, they could skip a month here or there, but we're going to see more cutting over the next 12 months. A lot more cutting. Even
I feel like this was the robot's voice that we listened to. KJ, is that true?
the most skeptical experts agree that future rate cuts are extremely bullish for the economy. Here, Ed Yardeni, this guy is a market strategist. He begrudgingly admits that every rate cut we have in the future will be extremely bullish for the economy.
Got to 50. The market thinks we're going to get a couple more cuts, maybe 25 and 25. So let's play that hand. Is that bullish for stocks?
Well, yes, I think it is bullish for stocks. I mean, the fact of the matter is, it wasn't too long ago when we were worrying about the Fed raising interest rates, and then why aren't they lowering interest rates? And now we're kind of saying, okay, what's more, give us more.
The only unknown right now is this. It seems like everybody is waiting for this presidential election to resolve. Everybody is waiting for either Trump to win and be the next president of the U.S. or waiting for Kamala to win and be the next president of the U.S. Everybody is waiting for this to be decided so that the unknown can then be dealt with. Now, volatility will be higher, of course, around this, but now is the time to start deeply thinking and acting on how you want to play this. Don't do nothing and just wait for this to play out. Now is the time to start acting. Joe Terranova, chief market strategist, gives you that warning here.
This week with institutional investors, with hedge funds, from being at Morgan Stanley for a day, talking to financial advisors. Everyone's treating the election like we'll worry about it when it's time to worry about it. No, we're 25 days away, and the election trades. This is the first election that I can remember where no institutional investor saying, I'm putting on this election trade. Everyone's saying we're going to sit back, we're going to wait for the election trades on the other side, and it's starting to get late for that. I think that's going to keep volatility high, and I think that it's time to start thinking about on the other side, where do you actually want to be allocated? I know it's difficult because everything's within a margin of error, but sooner or later we're going to have that moment of resolution.
And of course, with all that being said, look what the smart money is doing.
Real quick, speaking of that shit, how do you guys feel about that unrealized capital gains tax bill thing? I know Max knows a lot about it. Maybe we'll talk about it on Saturday. But did you guys, anybody else read the bills? Anybody else know what it's about? It's I don't know. I don't think it should even be a bill.
Look what the smart money is doing. The smart money earlier this year went deep into Bitcoin. We kept you updated and informed on how smart money was getting into Bitcoin every step of the way. Now it looks like they're turning to altcoins. Look, Van Eck establishes $30 million venture fund to support crypto and AI startups. Seems like just yesterday they got into Bitcoin. Now looks like they're hugely bullish on the altcoin space.
We see ourselves as a
I'm with you, Geek of All Trades. I lost all my crypto in a boating accident.
fintech fund first and foremost at the intersection of crypto and AI. Crypto is really the value layer, and stablecoins to us are very core to that thesis. AI is where you can take financial services that are typically represented by people and now turn those into software. So we're kind of assuming that a lot of the underlying technology here, whether it be the L1 blockchains or the large language models, have been commoditized to a point where now middleware and applications can leverage these primitives really to redesign and create kind of a net new internet native financial system.
Van Eck is literally going on TV and saying, yes, this time is different. Unlike crypto's first 15 years, now, finally, is the time that we need to get involved with altcoins, because this time is so much different than ever before. Listen to their why.
Is this time different? And what do you see as the types of innovation most likely to succeed in this area that you might be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I think this hype cycle might be different, right? This is the first time where you're seeing large institutions like BlackRock, like Van Eck. Just the other day, Visa announced a stablecoin tokenization platform for banks to create stablecoins and launching that with BBVA. Similarly, I think a lot of that is driven by the fact that the technology has been battle tested, right? Stablecoins are going to settle over $24 trillion this year. Current supply sits around all-time highs at $170 billion. So it's hard to ignore this, especially when you look at the innovation that stablecoins create. Right now, you can take dollars, upload them onto Coinbase, send them anywhere in the world at the speed of a text message for free. And then that user can take that stablecoin from their wallet and deposit it directly to the bank account. So I think Wall Street and large institutions look at this and say, this is the future, especially when you consider the existing legacy rails. And most of fintech are just very thin layers that sit on top of legacy banking or financial system. Stablecoins take all those middlemen that charge excessive fees, that create slow settlement times, and replace them with software. And so I think you're going to see a lot of institutions start to leverage this. And tokenization for us really just builds upon the formation that stablecoins have already enabled. And now you can create net new assets and markets that were previously illiquid or hard to access. So I think it's going to create a Cambrian explosion of new fintech products over the next decade.
It seems like he truly understands the value of tokenization. He, like Larry Fink of BlackRock, thinks that the future is tokenized and he wants a piece of it.
Tokens are a really interesting instrument. They can represent things like the underlying ownership of the network, governance rights, cash flows, or sometimes passive yield through staking. And the structure of these tokens is that the project or company will go public much earlier in their life cycle, usually in the first 2 to 3 years. And so that provides earlier liquidity, better price discovery. In some cases that hasn't worked out, where you've seen intense volatility tied to the overall crypto asset class. But I think it's awesome. It reminds me a lot of, in the early days of the internet, when companies like Microsoft used to go public at lower valuations, and retail investors could benefit in the upside of that, versus what we're seeing in the traditional venture world, where there's an oversupply of VC capital. And the IPO markets are kind of getting tired of these ridiculous prices that they're coming out with.
You remember how Larry Fink was the first in traditional finance to start really saying this. Now it seems like so many others in TradFi are on board.
Interesting.
Altcoin regulation is really going to open up in the US. You watch. Even current SEC commissioner.
Yeah, I'm nervous about that, the whole altcoin thing with the SEC.
This is the guy who works with Gary Gensler. Even Gary Gensler's peers are saying that the SEC messed up in such a big way with crypto, and we need to fix it. Here's an SEC commissioner who gets confronted right at the top of the show. Listen to how he responds.
Well, it's great to be here.
What is the SEC doing regarding crypto?
Well, I think our policies and our approach for the last several years have been just really a disaster for the whole industry. We have been setting this policy through enforcement. We've done nothing to provide guidance on it. And as a result, this has been chewed by the courts. And different courts have ruled different ways. I think what this Wells notice is, and while I won't comment on the specifics of this litigation, the Wells, what has gone on is part of a broader frustration with the fact that we have not provided interpretive guidance as to what you can and cannot do. And if you are involved in some sort of securities offering, how you register, how you get regulated as a broker-dealer, how you get registered as an exchange.
Look, guys.
Interesting. All right. Let's real quick, so this is what I found for that unrealized capital gains thing. So it says, what is the unrealized capital gains tax unpacking Kamala Harris's backed proposal on ultra wealthy? So what the fuck's going on here? Vice President Kamala Harris economic policy plans include a backing of President Joe Biden's proposal to tax unrealized capital gains on the U.S.'s richest people. A plan unsurprisingly denounced by former President Donald Trump and his associates through some criticism of the plan is rooted in misinformation. So I don't know what, I guess it's people with their net worth over $100 million or something. I'm gonna be honest, I don't give a fuck how rich you are. I don't think you should get taxed on capital gains that you do not have possession of. Like, you haven't made that money yet. That is literally just what, like, there's so, this is a Brave browser and it's still fucking pop-ups every 2 seconds. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to me why you'd have to pay money on money that's not yours yet. It's not okay. I don't give a shit how rich you are. I don't. It's just not okay at all. Unrealized gains are unrealized gains. They're called unrealized for a reason. It's fucking dumb. Dumb. I will never vote for that. Bitcoin 61,176 bucks. Recapping things, guys. We got to get out of here in a few minutes. Ethereum 24.18. We have Solana at 142 bucks. XRP 53 cents. ADA 34 cents over here. I still think all this stuff's a good buy, guys. Everything's still on fire sale. To be honest, Caspa has been taking a real shit lately, but it is what it is. Time to buy. My opinion. Caspa 13 cents. We got LTC at $65. Sui's at $1.93. We have Aptos over here, $8.30, down a little bit on the day. Phantom is down a lot on the day, 7.16% to 64 cents. We have Celestia actually up 8.29% to $5.29. Let's see what else we got over here. Dogecoin is 10.8 right now, almost 11 cents. Up a little bit on the day, but 1.25%. We have Near Protocol at $4.71, up 2% on the day. Shiba's down a little bit. Pepe's up a little bit, really not much from yesterday. BNB is down slightly, but it's 568 bucks. Toncoin is at $5.21. Let's check out Crypto Bubble, see if anything changed. Seems to be Hex is still at the top of the charts over here, 18.9% up, and it's at a penny and a half exactly. Let's see, HNT is losing today, 4.5% to $6.47, and Phantom again is the biggest loser of the day out of the top 100 coins anyways. 7.2% down, 64 cents. Flashbang for everybody just joining. Fear and Greed Index is at a 32 today. It is time to be greedy. Be greedy when people are fearful. Be fearful when people are greedy. So I don't know. I still think we could have a decent October at some point, or November is just going to be fucking wild. That is my honest personal opinion. All right, let me get this thing together for you guys. We're going to be getting out of here in just a second, but y'all know it is Friday, and I do need to play you guys this. Hopefully you guys have a happy and safe Friday. I will catch you guys bright and early. Actually, well, I'll catch you tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Sorry. Monday morning, bright and early. Tomorrow night for Saturday Night Live. Maybe we'll talk about this tax proposal thing and see what Max has to say about it. But you guys have a great, happy, and safe day. Enjoy your paychecks. Let's do it. Peace, peace. I'll catch you guys soon.
I wanna hold until I can't no more. Perfect.
Have a happy and safe Friday, everybody. If you spend all your paycheck in one place, spend it on Bitcoin. Peace, peace.
Perfect.
Eat shit, Gary.